Tyler does everything right. He's 34, works in tech, reads the newsletters, follows the podcasts, implements the protocols. When Huberman says get morning sunlight, Tyler is on his balcony at 7 a.m., eyes open, facing east. When Huberman says dim your lights by 9 p.m., Tyler has his apartment set to warm amber before dinner. And at night, when he needs to check something on his phone, he doesn't just grab it. He triple-clicks the side button. Red filter. Low brightness. Just like the protocol says. By every visible metric, Tyler is doing this correctly. He still wakes up tired. 3 mornings out of 5, that same blunt fog. Not destroyed, not sick, just dulled. The kind of tired that coffee touches but never actually fixes. He's tried the better mattress, the magnesium, the earlier bedtime. Nothing closes the gap. His girlfriend Lena did one thing. She put her phone in the kitchen. No protocol, no filter, no morning ritual. She just stopped bringing the phone into the bedroom 18 months ago and sleeps like it's her full-time job. Tyler has the science. Lena has the results. Here's what's actually going on. Huberman is right. Let's be clear about that up front, because this isn't a takedown. His framework is grounded in real biology, and if you've never applied it, you should. Here's the short version. Your brain runs on light, like an operating system runs on power. Specifically, it runs on blue light, the same frequency that floods the sky at noon. When that light hits your eyes at night, your brain reads it as daytime. It stops releasing melatonin. The sleep signal disappears. And you can want sleep all you want. The signal isn't there. That's the hardware problem. Blue light at night is the equivalent of yelling "wake up" into your biology at the exact moment you're trying to wind down. Huberman also nails the morning side. Sunlight in the first hour after you wake triggers a cortisol spike, a calibrating one, not a stress one. That spike sets a timer. 12 to 14 hours later, melatonin releases on schedule. Your whole sleep chemistry runs on that anchor. Skip the morning light, disrupt the evening signal, and the clock drifts. This is why the red filter exists. Red light is long wavelength. It barely registers as a wake signal. Triple-clicking to the red filter is a real biological bypass. Not a placebo, not a trend. But here's the thing Tyler doesn't know yet. The light is the lobby. The real extraction happens deeper. Before the screen even turns on, the room has already changed. The phone doesn't need to illuminate to start working on you. It doesn't need to buzz or ring or light up the ceiling. Its presence alone is doing something to your brain. Something measurable, running continuously, right through the night. Think about how it feels when someone calls your name across a crowded room. You weren't paying attention. You were somewhere else, but your brain caught it instantly, snapped too. That's because your name is personally relevant. Your nervous system is wired to prioritize it. The smartphone is the same category of stimulus. Every unread notification, every unanswered email, every conversation left hanging. The device represents the world at your fingertips, and your brain knows it. Even when the screen is black, the potential is not. Adrian Ward and a team at the University of Texas ran a series of experiments to measure exactly this. They found a linear trend. The closer the phone was to the participant, on the desk versus in a pocket versus in another room, the lower their available cognitive capacity. Phone on the desk was worst. Phone in another room was best. The phone was turned off, face down, silent. Didn't matter. The brain was still allocating resources to resist engaging with it. Not checking it wasn't free. Not checking it was a task. A continuous, invisible, all-night task. Ward's team called it the cognitive load of the inhibitory process. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that runs self-control, emotional regulation, long-term thinking, was spending processing power on a job it never announced it was doing. That's the cost Tyler's sleep app doesn't show. The app says 7 hours, but a portion of his brain was on impulse suppression duty from the moment his head hit the pillow to the moment the alarm went off. Now, this isn't perfectly settled science. A 2021 study at the University of Bern failed to replicate Ward's findings in certain memory tasks. A 2024 meta-analysis across 33 studies found the effect non-significant on average. But here's what even the skeptical research confirms. It depends on how dependent you are. For low-dependence users, the phone in the room is probably close to neutral. For high-dependence users, and most people watching this are somewhere on that spectrum, removing the phone can trigger its own anxiety. Researchers call it nomophobia, the stress of not having it nearby. which means for heavy users, the phone has become something stranger than a distraction. It's become an anchor. Remove it, and the anxiety that follows produces its own cortisol response, its own arousal. The phone is now the lesser of two stresses. You can't win from inside that loop. That's not weakness. That is a designed attachment. And who designed it? You've never just decided to check your phone at midnight. You've been engineered toward it. Tristan Harris spent years as a design ethicist at Google before going public with what he'd seen. His argument isn't moral. It's mechanical. The smartphone is a slot machine, literally, structurally. The pull-to-refresh gesture is a direct application of variable ratio reinforcement, rewards delivered on an unpredictable schedule. Decades of behavioral research confirm this is the most addictive reward pattern ever identified. Not because the rewards are so good, because you never know when the next one is coming. The uncertainty is the addiction. And here's what most biohacking content gets completely wrong about this. Dopamine doesn't fire at the reward. It fires at the prediction of the reward, at the gap, the anticipation. Every refresh is a spin of the lever, and your brain is flooding itself with anticipatory dopamine before anything even loads. The feed isn't showing you what happened in chronological order. It's calculating, in real time, at scale, what combination of content will keep you in the app for the maximum amount of time, based on behavioral data that is more granular than anything you have about yourself. When Tyler opens Instagram for just 5 minutes before bed, he's entering an environment built with the full resources of a $2.1 trillion industry, optimized specifically for this moment. The bedroom, the low light, the depleted prefrontal cortex, the end-of-day low-resistance window. That's not an accident of timing. That is the target. This isn't about temptation. It isn't about discipline. It's a designed system running against a tired brain in its most vulnerable hour. You are not the customer. You are the inventory. So what did Lena actually do? She didn't research it. A friend mentioned sleeping better after moving the phone out of the room. Lena tried it for a week, felt the difference, and never reversed course. The slight friction of walking to the kitchen was enough to kill the habit. No path, no behavior. What she stumbled into was 3 things running in parallel, and none of them required a protocol. The first thing was silence in the nervous system. With no phone in the room, her brain had nothing to stay alert for. No notifications building up, no emails accumulating, no social conversations left open. Research on workers who feel perpetually on call shows that the sense of availability, even when you're physically off duty, creates a continuous, low-grade tension that prevents real recovery. The mind never fully clocks out. Half at work, half at home, recovered in neither place. Lena's brain got a clean signal. The day is over. It's safe to stop scanning. The second thing was reclaimed time. Research across populations in Norway, Singapore, and Japan consistently shows that screen use in bed displaces sleep in direct, measurable terms. For every hour of screen use in bed, students in one study slept 24 minutes less and had a 59% higher chance of insomnia symptoms. Lena wasn't losing catastrophic amounts of sleep. She was losing 30 to 40 minutes a night to a scroll she'd describe afterward as, "I don't even know what I was watching." That's not a crisis. That's a slow tax. Over 18 months, it compounded into a different life. The third thing was chemical. Cortisol is supposed to reach its lowest point around midnight. When it does, the parasympathetic system takes over. Heart rate slows, muscles release. The brain begins its repair and consolidation work. When the phone is present and the on-call state is running, cortisol doesn't fully drop. The sympathetic system holds partial engagement. You're horizontal, but you're not resting. Lena didn't optimize sleep. She stopped actively working against it. So, what does Huberman actually get right? More than he gets wrong. The morning sunlight anchor is real, and it compounds over time. The full-day light sequence, blue in the morning, warm amber in the evening, darkness before bed, is biologically coherent and consistently supported. The red filter is a genuine damage reduction tool for the moments when you actually need the phone late at night. That's not nothing. That's a real framework. What's missing isn't the science, it's the scope. The Huberman protocol is a hardware fix. It manages the light signal. It doesn't account for anticipatory stress, the cognitive cost of proximity, or the systemic architecture that makes the phone impossible to ignore even when you're trying to sleep. Those things don't appear in melatonin data. They appear in how you feel at 7 a.m. when the alarm goes off. The biohacking conversation treats sleep like an engineering problem. Tune the inputs, light, temperature, supplements, breathing patterns, and the output improves. That logic isn't wrong. The biology is real. But it puts all the pressure on optimizing the machine, and none of it on questioning what environment the machine is sitting in. You can tune the machine perfectly, and still run it inside a casino. Here's the verdict, and it's conditional, because it always is. If light exposure is genuinely your only issue, phone use is brief, on red filter, for a real reason, back in the drawer, Huberman's protocol covers most of it. The damage from light alone, managed correctly, is limited. But if the phone is your alarm clock, if it's the last thing you touch before sleep and the first thing you reach for at 3 a.m. when you wake up, the red filter is treating a symptom inside a system that is still running at full capacity. The most effective intervention isn't a setting, it's architecture. Buy an alarm clock. They cost almost nothing. A single-function device, something your brain has zero interest in engaging with at 2 a.m. because there is nothing to engage with. No feed, no inbox, no lever, just numbers. Charge the phone somewhere that isn't your bedroom. Hallway, kitchen, doesn't matter. The point is physical distance. You're not stronger for resisting it in the dark. You're smarter for not being in the same room. And if the idea of the phone being in the kitchen, not in reach, creates real discomfort, that discomfort is the most important signal in this entire video. It's not a personality trait. It's a designed attachment that got mistaken for a need. The first week without it nearby feels strange. The second week feels quieter. The month after feels like something that used to be normal and gradually disappeared without you noticing. The discomfort is real. It passes. What you're feeling in that first week is withdrawal from variable ratio reinforcement. Documented, temporary. If cold removal feels like too much, replace before you remove. Keep a physical book where the phone used to be, not a lifestyle statement, an architectural substitution. Give the brain a low-stakes task that quiets the anxiety loop without triggering the dopamine system into another hour of consumption. Name an animal for every letter of the alphabet. It sounds ridiculous. It works. The prefrontal cortex just needs something small to do. Tyler knows all of this now. He read the papers. He watched the videos. He understands the mechanism. He still wakes up at 3 a.m., reaches for the phone to check the time, and ends up reading an email from a colleague in a different time zone. Not because he lacks discipline, because the phone is there. The slot machine is on the nightstand. And at 3 a.m., with executive function partially offline, the outcome is always the same. At the start of this video, the question looked like it was about light, blue light, red filters, melatonin, Huberman versus instinct. But the light was never the whole problem. The real question was what the phone is doing to the room before it even turns on, what your brain is doing in the dark when the device is within reach, what it costs you in sleep, in cognitive capacity, in cortisol, just to be in the same room as the machine that an entire industry is paying engineers to make irresistible. The bedroom should be a sanctuary, not because it sounds nice, because your brain needs environmental signals to shift between states, alert to recovery, on to off. The phone keeps the signal locked on one side of that line. Huberman gave you the hardware fix. A real one. Nobody gave you the software fix. Lena didn't read a single paper. She didn't follow a protocol. She didn't optimize anything. She just moved the slot machine to a different room. And she hasn't needed a protocol since.